So they'll be customizing the Buffalo STX, and the reason I'll be customizing this today is because it's on a Black Friday sale, meaning that it's 40% off. So I thought to myself, might as well get another one. This is my second one, and what I want to do with this is make an SRT build. Of course, I'm kind of forced to because of it doesn't have the wide body, so I can't make, the newer 2023, 2022 version of this. So for now, I'm just gonna make the iconic SRT from 2015. The very first model year of this generation right here. The real car is discontinued already. The Charger, and it's replaced with like an electric version that many people don't like. But that's a whole separate tangent. Anyway, here the exhaust options, they're pretty strange. For some reason, you only get like a singular exhaust option. I don't know why they did that. And I feel like the bumper design, um, including the exhaust, could have been a lot better in the bottom. But it's not too bad. Here, the hoods, I really like the hoods options. It's specifically this one right here. This one's a clear reference to the higher performance models. Of course, you could do the base model or the GT version, which comes with a V6. You could recreate that. I know some people that own the base model version. So, if you play the game and you just really love the base model version, you can do that. But for me, I just want to do a higher performance version. The intercoolers, these are pretty decent. I like how it adds a 3D element to it. But personally, I just prefer factory look. Here with the headlights, I'm just gonna leave them clean. I'm not gonna put any xenons. It just looks too weird. The liveries, I do have a bit of a complaint with the liveries because you don't have any more factory style or Charger inspired liveries here. It's mostly just motorsport references and stuff like that. The first two stripe options, I feel they're okay, but I would have personally preferred just a traditional black or white double stripe. But I'm not really the guy that puts on liveries that much, so I'm gonna give you a very quick look of these liveries, just really quick. And then once I'm done here, I'm gonna go to the paint, and I'm gonna put a B5 blue color, and I'll talk to you guys more about that once I get there. So let's see what's next. The liveries, you only get two options here. Um, I'm not a fan of these louvers. I call them liveries, but the louvers just don't fit the car. You can put some carbon on this, but I'm just gonna leave it off. And now for the color, to recreate the factory B5 blue, here I'm gonna put on an ultra as a base, as a primary. Let me see where it is. I kind of lose it. Some of you might tell me that it looks nothing like like B5 blue, but I personally feel that this is the closest that you're gonna get if you feel like recreating the color without doing a hex. Of course, you could always do a modded color, but I personally am not a fan of doing that. I really hate the extra steps. So I'm just gonna, do get as close as I can to the actual color. So I'm just gonna leave the ultra as the base, and then for the secondary, I'm gonna put it as racing blue, just to make it a little bit darker. But let's see, for the interior, the secondary also seems to be tied to um, stitching. But there is a trim color, which is basically the whole interior, or most of the interior, as I'll get there. But yeah, let's just make it ultra blue. Let's just match it, might as well. Even though it's probably inaccurate, it doesn't matter. So anyway, here for the trim color, as you can see, it colors interior, but there isn't much to see in here. Um, the styling does fit the car, but it is a generic muscle car interior that most of the muscle cars in the game share, the modern muscle cars. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna touch this. But here, if you want to put a roll cage, it also changes the front seats, which is cool. You do you if you want to do a drag build or any of those performance builds. but I'm not gonna do that. Here you have some antennas, whatever you call these things, vortex generators. I can't remember if my other Buffalo has these generators on top. I don't think it does because I don't like how they look. So I'm not gonna put any of this on personally. Just gonna leave that off. The skirts here, it only does a bit of an extension on the bottom. I personally do not like how that looks, but I'm just gonna show you the secondary and just primary skirt options. You only have two. But if you're the type of person that likes to do aftermarket stuff, then you do you. Here, I love the lip splitter. That's pretty much the closest that you're gonna get. You do have your typical drag options here, and some other, wing options as well. The rest of these are like generic wings. I'm not a fan of these in the bottom. They're like copy and pasted. They've been seen before. So I'm just gonna do a small lip splitter here, just like the SRT. It's a shame that there isn't a plastic or a carbon version of this to get even closer. But it'll do as a body matched part. The suspension that you can get this super low, but I hate how it looks like that. So let's just do a lowered suspension. I feel that's enough. You guys will probably agree. Anyway, for the wheels, the stock wheels themselves look good, but I know a wheel that looks almost identical to the SRT, and it's these right here. They're not perfect, and I know the texture quality isn't that great for this wheel since it's pretty old, but it surprisingly holds up with the design. It just matches it very well, so let's do that. My other Buffalo STX also has these wheels, and let's make these a little darker than alloy. The stone silver looks accurate as well, not just a lighter alloy. So let's just do some bulletproofing here. I hate how the tire lettering looks, so let's leave that off. All that's left for me to do here before I exit is to show you the window tint. The window tint really is, it's up to you. I personally like the light smoke tint, so let's just do that. Anyway, I'm just gonna check if I missed something. I think I'm gonna leave the splitter off for this one, but just give me a sec here, guys. Detail and texture quality is very good. I'd say it's great because look, they modeled that a V8 engine. Of course, it's not accurate to the real engine, but it's cool that it's there. It's also a 3D model, so they really bothered to go the extra mile. The bumpers look good. I feel like the color looks very good in the outside. The interior, there's really nothing much to talk about here, but I do like the front seats. They did a good job with that with those front seats. The back seats don't look great, which is unfortunate, but doesn't matter. The rest of the car is just very well modeled. I'd say it's pretty well detailed in the exterior. The interior is okay, but I feel like that's something I could overlook for a car this popular and iconic. Speed and handling is great. It does handle exactly what a muscle car is supposed to feel, especially a Challenger like this. It does have a little bit of that heaviness and that muscular feeling. It's very hard to explain unless you've been in an actual muscle car like this. But it does a very good job at mimicking that. The handling is very reliable, as I'll show you in a bit. It doesn't spin out at all, so it's not a worry or a concern. It's just an overall great car. If you're able to log on this week, or if you're watching this the week that I'm making this, definitely get this for a discount. It's a great car. Let's hope that this gets an HSW upgrade for the next up and coming update, which I'll be covering in December as well. So if you're sticking this far and you like my style, you like what I do, please stay tuned in for more. Anyway, that's all I got for today. And as always, thanks for watching.